fucking hate Pikeys.
Yeah, probably no good will come of this, but I feel compelled as a free speech warrior to comment on some stuff that's been going on recently, specifically with regards to Jimmy Carr and Joe Rogan. Jimmy Carr is someone I don't normally find particularly funny. He seems to have moved into the top slot for being an offensive comedian since Frankie Boyle kind of backed off. So yeah, he tells jokes that go right up to the edge, and a slightly old Netflix special of his came to light, as people seem to say, wherein he made a Holocaust joke, which ran something like, people always talk about the bad side of the Holocaust. They never consider the upside, which is all the gypsies that were killed. Right? And people laughed along. I don't think it's a particularly good joke, but I don't think it's quite as terrible as everyone is making out. He's made a similar joke before. It's a terrible problem in Africa. There just aren't enough mosquito nets. Just a few bucks every month, and we could supply enough mosquito nets to prevent millions of mosquitoes of dying from AIDS every year. Right, it's a similar kind of joke. It builds up an expectation for one thing and then switches. It's like a 1-2 punch almost. It builds you up to expect one thing and then hits you with the other. That's the mechanics of the joke, the switcheroo. But explaining how jokes work is death. But still, that's the point of the joke, the switcheroo. Is it a racist joke? Or is it just playing with your expectations and even shaming you for not remembering that the gypsies were also massacred by the Jews, as were the disabled and LGBT people? I tend to think it's more the latter, but I tend to like edgy humour, even though I don't like Jimmy Carr, and I tend to try and put the best possible, most forgiving spin on things. Now, do gypsies suffer prejudice? Yeah, but they can also genuinely be a problem for static communities. When they move into an area, they tend to shit it up. I think the solution to that is to have more proper places for them to go with better facilities, so that they don't shit the place up so much. And by the way, the proper term over here in the UK is gypsy. It's a GRT, Gypsy Roma Traveller Communities. It's not an insult to call someone a gypsy. That's one good thing I found out of all this. Of comparison to Carr, here is what I think is an unambiguously racist joke, which was part of the late departed Bernard Manning's repertoire, which was, why did God make Pikeys smell so bad? So the blind could hate them and all. Now that, to me, seems, an unambiguously horrific and racist joke in a way that Carr's doesn't. And David Baddiel, a Jewish comedian, offered up his own example joke. I'm sure you've all heard it before. A dead Jew stands before God and relates the story of the Holocaust as if it's an amusing anecdote, and says, "Oh, I don't think that's funny." And the Jew says, "Well, I guess you had to be there." Yeah, I can see Christians finding that insulting, but I think they would have to go out of their way to find that insulting in a similar way. So that's one of these situations. I think his joke is just inside the bounds. I don't think it's a particularly good joke. I thought the mosquito one was better executed when he told it, and that was off the cuff on a discussion program. It's daring, it tests a line, but it's right there on that line, to me. I'm not saying it has to be the same for anybody else, but it feels to me like people are going out of their way to spin it into something it isn't particularly. And the Rogan situation provides us with two situations, one of which I think is in bounds and one of which is not. One of the things Joe Rogan is in trouble for is COVID disinformation. Now, I'm not a Joe Bro. I don't watch the show a great deal unless he has someone interesting on, like, I don't know, Sam Harris or Steven Pinker or someone that I'm interested in. And I watch it because Joe is an idiot. And one of the first things Joe ever does in most discussions with anyone with any sort of qualifications is to admit that he's an idiot. But that makes the conversations interesting because these very smart people who typically live in a sort of rarefied atmosphere have to bring things down to a more comprehensible level. Which isn't to say that I'm an idiot, but I just enjoy that interaction, and I feel like it brings them back down to earth a little. Joe's problem, though, is when he's talking with someone who isn't perhaps necessarily a good actor, he doesn't know how to push back. And this has particularly been a problem around health stuff, I guess. He's very much into that gym, hunting, healthy, weightlifting, fitness sort of mindset, which isn't a good thing, which isn't a good headspace to be in when you're talking about things like communicable disease. But to me, the real blame doesn't lie with Joe Rogan, it lies with the people who come in and lie, and who exploit his platform and him, and who also exploit the public at large. Yeah, there's things he could do, and it sounds like he is going to do to make some changes there, but I think that the blame is being pointed in perhaps the wrong direction there. Now, because of the fuss around the COVID disinformation, which I think it is justified to censor on health grounds, that does rise to the level of the harm principle. But then people went through his entire back catalogue, clipped all kinds of stuff out of context, put it together in a big lump to make him look bad. And what that boils down to is that at various times over previous years, Joe Rogan has said the word nigger. There's context to most of them, like the context that we had just had now, largely around the weird and ever-changing rules, the discomfort it creates. When is it okay, when is it not? If someone calls you a nigger with an A, is it okay to say it back? Is it alright to sing along with rap lyrics that drop the word or not? Is it okay to include it if you're doing a reading from Mark Twain? Yeah, or talking about a legal case in which someone uses the word. What are the rules? And not every culture is the same as the US, and different words have different impact in different cultures. Saying cunt, for example, here in the UK isn't as big of a deal as is in the States, where it's seen as perhaps one of the ultimate swear word, the blue eyes white dragon of swear words, I guess. But is Rogan racist? Doesn't seem like it. Plenty of people of all kinds of ethnicities have been on this show. Plenty of pictures of him alongside other comedians who are black and so on. Certainly in his personal life, he doesn't seem to express racism in any way, shape or form. He's just said the word nigger on occasion. Incidentally, the attempt to make his guest list look right-wing was comedically stupid, but if you do look over his guest, there's certainly plenty of people who aren't cisgender straight white males, at least in proportion to society, shall we say. So what is it about that word that is so egregious? If people are saying it to each other all the time, if it's there in song lyrics, and it is just racially streamed, is it the meaning? Were I to say, what's up fellows of Negroid ancestry, using anthropological terms, would that be insulting? Or is it the sound? In which case, why isn't rigger a swear word? David Baddiel, oddly enough, did a skit about that many years ago, talking about the word cunt. Is it the sound? Is it because it's so harsh? Then why doesn't punt or bunt elicit the same response? And if it's the meaning, why doesn't the word vagina elicit the same response? If I call you a fornicating vagina, you're likely to laugh, not to take huge offence. So none of it makes any sense. That's the problem, and it's really Here it seems to be an attempt at a gotcha to circumvent the need to fully prosecute the accusation of COVID disinformation, which would and did justify censorship. But as ever, they're overstepping the mark on that again. And then on top of all that, of course, censorship of pornography in the United Kingdom has reared its ugly head again with the potential reintroduction to the online harms bill of age verification, or basically papers please to access adult areas of the internet. Yeah, not a great time for free speech, whether you're left wing, right wing, libertarian or conservative.
What's up, my nigga?
What did you just say?
What's up, my nigga?
Ugh.